Failover lab on Cisco ASA 5510. Brief introduction to failover or high availability. Cisco security devices support two types of failover: active failover and active standby failover. Each failover type executes differently. On active failover, both units are on active state. So the network traffic distributes across both firewalls. Excuse me. This method of failover runs only in multiple context mode. You can read more on this online. On active standby failover, the traffic flows only through the active unit, and the other unit stays on standby mode or on standby state. But when the active unit fails, then the standby unit takes over and becomes active, and the traffic continues to flow. The failover cable, which is cable connected both firewalls, replicates all configuration from active to standby unit, and both units have the same copy of configuration. There is hardware requirements for this lab. Some of the hardware requirements to complete the lab: the two ASA units must be the same module. They must have the same number and type of interfaces. They must have the same amount of RAM or memory installed. So, in general, they must have the same hardware configuration. Even though I just put few hardware requirements, there are more. Active standby failover topology lab. I have outside security zone and inside security zone. I have two firewalls, ASA 5510, and two switches, 3550. Ethernet 0 on both firewalls are configured on the outside interface, and Ethernet 1 are configured on the inside security zone. Ethernet 2 is a failover link which is connected both firewalls, and Ethernet 3 is configured stateful link, and they connected both firewalls. In this lab, I will show you the basic configuration of active standby failover using CLI or command line. If you prefer a GUI interface to configure the failover, then ASDM can be used. ASDM stands for Adaptive Security Device Manager. I have two more slides for the configuration steps. This is the first slide, and the second slide. So let me start the configuration. My console cable is connected to ASA1. I'll bring all interfaces by applying no shutdown command. So, and then I will configure IP addresses of inside and outside interfaces and standby IP address. Now read. IP address is 10.100.100.1. Standby 10.100.100.2. Interface Ethernet 00. This is the outside interface. The security level is set to 0 by default. So IP address 107.131.130.1 mask and the standby IP address that 107.131.130.2. Okay. Next, I will use Ethernet 2 interface for failover link, and I will name it fail link. Failover LAN interface fail link and Ethernet 2. I will assign IP address to the fail link interface. Okay. The next step is I will define Ethernet 3 interface to state link. State link is used for the stateful failover. Name it state link and apply to Ethernet 3. Then I will apply LAN failover and set ASA1 as a primary. And a primary. So ASA1 is as a primary and active. Finally, on ASA1, I will activate the failover. Activation failover is just a failover command. This is complete now. I will write the configuration. I'll save the configuration. So I will move my console into ASA2. This is ASA2. So in ASA2, this secondary, first I will bring up all interfaces, the same as I did on ASA1. The next is I will define Ethernet 2 interface as a fail link. This as well the same as I did on ASA1. I will assign IP address to the fail link. I will assign IP address to the fail link. So, okay. 16.1.1. Then I will enable failover. Okay, I think I missed something. Okay, let me move my console to not sure if I apply this. Show on. Yeah, I think I missed one configuration for the stateful. Stateful I haven't applied. I have to configure the IP address into state link. Failover interface IP state link 10.10.10.1 255 to 0 and standby 10.10.10.2. So show failover. Okay, that's right. Now I'm in ASA1 and this host shows primary and active, and the other host shows secondary and on standby. So I need to configure a few things to, if you see this is ASA1, since it is configured, since it replicate all the configuration from ASA1 to ASA2, let me move the console to ASA2. So it shows the same ASA1. So in order to identify or differentiate, which unit is primary and secondary, also which is active and standby, I need to apply this command. in ASA1. Host name, priority, and the state. So just save it. So this is interesting command. It shows you this is primary and active, and the name is ASA1. Both they are ASA1, but you can identify or differentiate by those two names, primary and active. Let me move the console into ASA2 to see what I mean. So this is ASA2. Even though it is ASA2, it shows ASA1 because everything is the same copy, but it is secondary and standby. Okay, there is a few configuration I need to configure before I start testing. I just move into ASA1. First I need to put the routine, the static route. Three. This is my static route. I will go to my topology. So on this side of my topology, on the outside security zone, I put a server here and I assign it 107.103.130.3. So I just put the static route pointing to that. I will create an object group, object network to test the, I will try to ping from inside to outside. The ping still it is timed out, so we will see once I apply this object. I put the object name is outside subnet. Subnet 10.100.100.0/24. Outside. Not inside. Outside. Dynamic interface. And just try this. I just put to allow ping from inside to outside. Still I cannot ping outside. Let me check if it is okay. It is. Okay, started to ping. Now I can ping from, let me go to my topology, from this machine, which is, I put 10.100.100.4, which is current in my computer, my laptop. So I'll be able to ping the outside interface, which is on this. There is a server here, which is the IP address is .3, 130.3. So connection is fine. So we'll start testing the failover. So we know now SA1 is active and primary, and SA2 is secondary and on standby. Let's check one more time. Yeah, this is host is primary active, and the other host is secondary on standby. So the first show IP interface. Show interface IP. Brief. So Ethernet 0 is configured on the outside, and this IP address. Ethernet 1, this IP address on the LAN network in the inside. Ethernet 2 as state link, as the fail link, and state Ethernet 3 as stateful link. So still it's pinging. I will testing the failover functionality or high availability. I will try to unplug this port, and we'll see what is the effect on the failover. I just unplugged the cable. So switching to standby. So show failover. So straight detected this connection of the cable, and shows is failed, and the failover switch over to a secondary and is active. So secondary is the SA2 now as active ASA. So let's check again. But okay, when we check the ping, still the ping hasn't been interrupted, and still I can access the outside network. Let me put back the cable. After I put the cable back, still ASA1 is primary but standby and ready, and secondary still it is active. So I will switch over now by applying, I'll move the console to ASA2, and I will apply no failover active. So when you apply this command, no failover, first let's see, this is secondary active, this is ASA2, secondary is active. So I will switch from the active router SA from secondary to primary. So the command is no failover active. So switching to standby. If show failover. So this host, which is my console is connected to ASA2, it is standby, it's back to standby, and the primary became now active. This is the basic test on failover. Now the last test, I will shut down to simulate that I will shut down the primary and the active ASA, which is ASA1, and this is the next test. I just shut down. My console is connected to secondary. Now switching to active. But here I have seen 3 packets are dropped during the switchover. So failover. Yeah, the secondary is active, primary is failed completely, is now is offline. I'll turn on ASA1. Just wait. Currently is on a failed state. Still it is failed, it is booting. Let me put the console in SA1. Yeah. Okay, still it is synchronized, but secondary is still active. Yeah, primary is back online and on standby and ready, and secondary is still active. So I can, final stage, final configuration, I will apply on ASA2 on the active. This is ASA2 and it's active. No failover. No failover active. So the secondary, I'll put it on standby and save. Show failover. So primary is active and secondary on standby. My console is connected to the secondary. So this host is secondary on standby and the primary is now active. Thank you for watching my video training and visiting my YouTube channel. Please feel free to comment, and also please do not forget to subscribe and click like. Thank you very much.